and thanks everyone for making the time to come along to the webinar. So everyone would have seen that we put out yesterday an exploration target for the Dante Reefs, and it's probably not very common for a company to put out an exploration target so quickly after what is ultimately a first pass reconnaissance drilling program. You know, typically you find some mineralization if you're lucky, and then you work to continue drilling, and subsequently over time you're able to publish an exploration target, and then you can move into potentially defining your resource if you're really lucky. But what we've been able to show here at Dante Project and the Dante Reefs very quickly is that, you know, we have a large system, a large ore body deposit, which we have intercepted in the majority of the drill holes that we drilled along strike. And due to the level of confidence that comes with these stratiform type deposits, you know, this is a magmatic copper sulfide dominant deposit with platinum, palladium, and gold, and a large amount of high-grade titanium and vanadium in the same layer. What we've been able to show is that given the stratiform nature, the fact that it's outcropping and relatively consistent, is that we have a level of statistical confidence in being able to produce a large conservative exploration target very quickly. So it is slightly unorthodox to publish an exploration target this early, but we are able to, given the level of confidence that we have in our data and what we've seen so far. And a key point, I suppose, on this exploration target is that it only is a small portion of the overall strike on the project. So this is a conservative target on the northern portion of Reef 1. The maximum, the upper exploration target here, which is of 110 million tonnes, only covers 7 kilometres of Reef 1 to a maximum vertical depth of 250 metres. So it's shallow. We don't foresee any reason why the ore body, the deposit would pinch out at depth. There's no evidence to suggest that. So we anticipate it should continue to extend beyond those depths. But we're being conservative here and only focusing on the shallow portions in this exploration target. So that Reef 1 actually strikes for approximately 16 kilometres. But we've only added on some conservative extensions to the existing 3 kilometres of drilling. The lower exploration target is a very minor extension on the existing drilling. So it's essentially drilling out what we've already drilled with a very small extension. And the upper target foresees, you know, contemplates the possibility that we extend that over 7 kilometres, which again, we perceive to be quite conservative. Our CP, who has put the exploration target together, Jason Livingston, has many years of undertaking resource development and resource estimation in the bushveld on reefs. So he's the right guy to have undertaken this work. And I'll just scroll through the announcement here to go through it in a little bit more detail. So the initial target here is 60 to 110 million tonnes. So we've always kind of said that in the West Musgrave, you know, you kind of need 100 million tonnes to get started. And certainly I think what we're able to show here is that this is just the very beginning for us. And we certainly foresee the potential to well exceed what we've published in this over time with additional exploration. We're getting really good grades here, combined polymetallic grades of copper, platinum, palladium, gold, and vanadium and titanium together, collectively a very high grade deposit. We're getting basal unit within the reef system is 5 to 10 meters thick, but overlying that, the hanging wall appears to be mineralized as well. So actually the overall mineralization is quite thick, and we're in the process of going through that at the moment and better understanding all of that hanging wall mineralization, which sits above the basal unit, which looks like it is going to be quite thick. It's going to take us a little bit of time to work through that to be able to work out how to report that. But here we are, we have a contained possible tonnage from the exploration target of 130,000 tonnes to 340,000 tonnes of copper. So there's a lot of copper even in this initial exploration target, which again is only a small portion of the overall target area, and 860 to 2.3 million ounces of precious metals, platinum, palladium, and gold. Now that doesn't include potential for other PGEs such as rhodium. Historical rock chipping has indicated there's rhodium, high value PGE in these mineralization as well. And we will be undertaking rhodium analysis in the future. And you can also see here 310,000 to 840,000 tons of vanadium at a very high grade, and also 8.6 million to 23 million tons of titanium. So there is a lot of contained metal in this deposit. It is outcropping at surface, it's shallow dipping. We foresee this to be a potentially open pittable scenario for those reasons, and I'll go through that a little bit more in a minute. So here we can see, just going to the highlights, we've made a few comments here. We've got BHP's Nebo Babel down the road. People would have seen the announcement which has come out recently that BHP have temporarily suspended operations at Nickel West and also at Nebo Babel. Now that's purely down to the nickel price. Nebo Babel is primarily a nickel deposit. It's a primary nickel deposit. I'm sure they weren't, happy to have made that decision, but there has been a large amount of infrastructure which has been installed in the West Musgrave, and there appears to be a significant spend continuing out there to keep the lights on for potential restart in the future. However, we don't foresee this to have impacted our project, Dante Project, at all. We see Dante has the potential to be a standalone on its own with a long mine life potential, has a scale and materiality for a multi-decade operation. And that's what we're out there to prove. And we've been able to demonstrate from a very early stage, from a first pass reconnaissance program, that scale and materiality is there. And that's the kind of scale and materiality that we believe attracts the majors, will attract the majors. So that's what we're out there to prove. It is very early days for us. But obviously our initial drilling has shown, the extensive nature of the ore body there, and we'll be looking to build on that with further exploration success. Our strike rate at intercepting magmatic sulfides has been very, very high, along strike in the drilling we've done so far, and we anticipate a high strike rate moving forward as we optimize our drilling. So our initial drill program was 10,000 meters, and it was based purely off a desktop study of historical information and outcrop mapping. However, now we have 10,000 meters of drilling. We've proven 2 discoveries of 2 reefs there with that drilling. And we're in a position after 8-9 months in the field on the ground with all of this new drill data to be able to optimize a high impact drill program moving forward. And given our already high level of exploration success, we foresee there's a huge amount of exploration upside to be gained from going back out there, applying what we've learned for further exploration. So it's a large-scale outcropping Platte Reef style copper PGE sulfide discovery. This is the Dante Reefs. We call it Platte Reef style because it's one of the closest analogues we can find. It is the first of its kind in Australia and likely the world. We're not aware of another analogue in Australia like this. You're getting magmatic sulfides with platinum, palladium, gold in the same layer, in the same reef, with high-grade vanadium and titanium. We are yet to see another example of this in Australia, and we're not aware of an exact example even globally. So in the bushveld, you get the various different layers, vanadium, titanium layers, the chromite reefs with PGs and magmatic, and then you get magmatic sulfides, and sometimes you get a combination of the magmatic sulfides with the precious metals such as Platte Reef. Difference being with Platte Reef, it does contain nickel, and Platte Reef does not contain high-grade vanadium and titanium. So our deposit is copper dominant, does not appear to contain nickel or much nickel at all. It really is a copper PGE system with high-grade vanadium and titanium. So the initial exploration target includes only the basal layer. So all we have done here is we've wireframed out the basal layer, so the 5 to 10 meter thick basal layer. And what we know is that we've only done 7 kilometers, as I said, out of 16. So it's only a small portion, and it's only the shallow portion. So the upper exploration target goes down to 250 vertical meter depth, but the lower exploration target does not. So it is a conservative target, and it does not include any of the upper reefs or the hanging wall mineralization, which appear to be quite thick. So we're in the process, as I said, of further analyzing that hanging wall mineralization, but we perceive the mineralized body to be much larger than the basal unit on its own. However, the basal unit is obviously, very high grade collectively with the metals combined. So that platinum, palladium, gold, copper, titanium, vanadium mineralization does extend throughout the hanging wall, which sits above the basal unit, and it's only the basal unit in this exploration target. So the large shallow exploration target indicates the potential for a low-cost open-cut mining scenario. So we're looking here at large-scale, long mine life potential. That's what we see. The reefs, as I said, outcrop from the surface, and they're mineralized from surface and they're shallow dipping. So they're all good factors for a potential open-cut mining scenario. So we're undertaking plans at the moment to mobilize multiple rigs. We're very active on the ground. We are going to get a diamond rig out there, followed by an RC rig. We're in the late stages of making preparations for that drilling. and we intend to undertake a large amount of drilling for the remainder of this drilling season this year. So we look forward to providing a further update. As I said, we'll be applying what we've learned for the first time in doing target infill extensional drilling on the existing discoveries. And then in time, we'll be moving into new discovery drilling. And we foresee a huge amount of exploration upside in both the infill extensional drilling on the existing discoveries, but also on potential new discovery drilling, given our strike rate and what we've learned and what we see in the targets that we are yet to drill. So it made some commentary here that, Reef 2 is not included in this current exploration target. We have discovered another large reef, Reef 2, over 7 kilometers or 6.2 kilometers of strike proven with the drill so far. We foresee that we will likely complete an exploration target on Reef 2 after we do further infill drilling in the upcoming program. So that immediately has a huge amount of exploration upside. You can imagine this exploration target is only going to get bigger as we continue to drill out the additional reefs across the project. So 42 kilometers of reef on the western side of the project outcropping so far. We've drilled 9 or so kilometers of that 42 kilometers so far. We put an exploration target out on 7 kilometers of that 42 kilometers so far, which is this exploration target. We do need to go and do some mapping in the eastern side of the project. We're yet to undertake that mapping. There is some historical reports which indicate that there are additional reefs in that eastern side of the project as well. So we foresee that we have the potential here not just to have 40 kilometers of outcropping reef, but for that to really grow. So our team need to go out there and ground truth that, because you cannot rely on historical reports. We need to go out there, we need to map it, we need to sample it ourselves and confirm that it's there, and we'll be able to put an update out on any additional reef strike on the eastern side of the project once we've completed that body of work. So this is a wireframe of the exploration target. So this wireframe is the upper exploration target. So down to a vertical depth of 250 meters, 7 kilometers long, obviously open in all directions. So a long strike, open a long way to the south, it's open to the north, and it's open down dip. So in reality, we anticipate this to be much larger than what we put in our conservative exploration target. So just scrolling down here. Now this is, most people would have seen this. This is what the reef looks like. So every time we drill into the Dante Reef, this is what we see. It's heavy black metal. We anticipate it's going to look quite beautiful in core when we start diamond drilling, and it's very dense. So the beauty of the density of this mineralization is that even though we've got a huge volume of mineralized rock, which is going to create large tonnage deposit anyway, what we have here is a much higher density than a normal rock. So in the same volume, you're going to get a much greater tonnage compared to a normal deposit, if you will. So it's very easy to identify. It's magnetic, and it stands out. So this is the Reef 1 drilling that we've done. So over 3 kilometers of strike there, 4 drill fences. We're intercepting the magmatic sulfides on every single hole except for one hole that was drilled there, and that went into a dolerite dike. And so it's laterally extensive, stratiform, consistent. We kind of refer to it as a mineralized blanket, I suppose, similar to a coal seam, if you want to imagine it in that way. And then just coming down here, these are some examples of, I suppose, the less common mineralization. What we found is that the vast majority of the copper sulfides appear to be bornite and chalcocite. So bornite being approximately 60% copper and chalcocite being about 79% copper as a mineral. This is chalcopyrite here in this image, and this is native copper. So just showing there's a range of copper minerals that developed. This native copper is not common, but it's developed in the upper gabbronorite, so in the hanging wall, and the chalcopyrite is definitely less common than the chalcocite and bornite, but easy to identify because it stands out shiny and gold. These are some of the drill results. So most people would have already seen these. We're getting consistent magmatic sulfides here with precious metals and high-grade vanadium and titanium. So they're always hanging out together in this deposit, and over the full strike, every time we put a hole in under the outcrop, we're hitting this mineralization, which is a very good sign for exploration upside for all the other reefs on the project. So I think I'll just go through this really quickly. So this is a magnetics image. This is the TMI image, and this shows our initial mapped reefs at the project, which is the first 42 kilometers of mapped outcropping reef strike. Now you'll see Reef 1 here, Creus. The Creus portion is the northern portion. And then we have the southern portion down here where we've only done about 1 kilometer of drilling. Assays are still outstanding for that. So there's 10 drill holes from the southern portion of Reef 1 where we have assays still outstanding, expected back soon. But overall, it's about 16 kilometers, this Reef 1. So if that southern end also, turns up mineralization, I suppose it does add quite a bit of strike there. But there's a lot of infill drilling to be undertaken on Reef 1 and extensional drilling. And then likewise, there are many other large reefs here which outcrop and look very similar at surface to the Reef 1 and Reef 2, where we've hit the magmatic sulfides and they're yet to have any drilling. We also anticipate that because some of the project is under shallow cover, that some of these lineaments, which are not outcropping, may also be reefs. So we will be looking to explore some of those as well in time. You can see there's a huge project pipeline here of targets which are going to fall out over time. And also, I suppose one point I'll make is that we're yet to undertake any drilling on the EM targets. So we've only kind of gone in and drilled the geochem, we've drilled the outcrops underneath outcrop, and we haven't yet drilled any EM targets. So we have a series of high priority EM targets across the project. These will fall into the project development pipeline. They're already in there. We're looking to progress some of those EM targets to drilling as we come out of infill and extensional drilling on Reefs 1 and 2 and come into our new discovery drilling and new reconnaissance drilling. We're looking to incorporate additional reefs as well as some of these EM targets into the drilling. And obviously the EM targets may represent a different style of mineralization to the reef mineralization, of more of the net texture to massive sulfide, potentially chronolith style mineralization as well. So the project has the potential not only proven to contain large stratiform magmatic sulfide deposits in the reefs, but also to contain chronolith style magmatic sulfide deposits as well. And we'll be looking to explore for both of those over time. So we anticipate that this project has the potential to compete with or potentially even exceed over time BHP's resource base in the West Musgrave region. And that's what we'll be looking to prove up over time as we continue to drill. We foresee the development timeline here. It's at its very early stages. It is at its infancy. And so, as I said, there's lots of exploration upside. It's going to take us a few years to drill everything out here and to drill all of our targets and convert the various discoveries and potential future discoveries into resource. And we're pretty excited as for what we're seeing right now, and the team are pretty excited to get back out there and start drilling soon. Right, Evie, I think that's probably covered most of it.
Yes. Thomas, there was a couple of questions that came through while you were going through that brief. The first one, what metallurgical issues are foreseen in extracting and isolating the multiple minerals within the deposit?
Yeah, good question. So, I mean, the first problem with any discovery and development is to have the metal. And so we have the metal, that's great. We've got lots of it. So that's the first big tick. Metallurgy is a process we're embarking on now. We're starting, essentially straight away. We're undertaking diamond drilling, which is about to start soon. And part of the purpose of that diamond drilling will be to do more advanced metallurgical studies to look at producing multiple product streams through the copper sulfide, the precious metals, the vanadium, and the titanium. So we brought on Evan Kirby, who has about 40 years experience in the bushveld. He's probably one of the most experienced metallurgists for bushveld type reef deposits globally that we're aware of. Evan is essentially retired and he picks and chooses what he works on. And he's come through to work on this with us, which we're very grateful for. We're really pleased to have him on board. He's essentially the best you can get. Evan's worked on every combination of different types of reef deposits in the bushveld that exist, whether they be chromite, platinum PG reefs, whether they be magmatic sulfide dominant reefs, vanadium, titanium reefs, and all of the various combinations of those different polymetallic, because the reefs are always polymetallic. Evan's worked on all of them. So we'll be looking at undertaking and implementing conventional flow sheets, which have been tried and tested in the bushveld and elsewhere as we go through the process. Obviously, it's early stage now. The diamond drilling is going to take a couple of months, and then we have to commence the metallurgical the more detailed metallurgical work on that diamond core. But we've got the right people on the team, and we're confident that we're going to be, that there are existing flow sheets for these types of mineralization and a pathway to producing multiple product streams to extract the full value out of the metal content in the reef.
Right, thanks for that. And another one from Daryl: how many kilometres between the western and eastern reefs? And will this all be able to be incorporated with a potential mine?
So the western, and I'm assuming you mean in the west side of the eastern side of the project where we're yet to map, which is not on this map. We need to, fully map them properly to be able to determine the kilometers between them. But as I said, like these reefs here are only a couple of kilometers apart. If you look, they're quite stacked, and there appear to be multiple. So there's not just one reef, even though it shows as one outcrop here. There may be multiple stacked on top of each other. We also foresee possibility that some of these other lineaments here are going to be reefs as well. They're just concealed by a shallow portion of cover of a couple of meters of sand. So we may be looking at, a large amount of compact reef mineralization over a very small, quite close together. But the entire project appears to be prospective for reef. So it's 650 square kilometre project, and we've contained the whole Jemison land intrusion within our tenement boundaries. So we foresee the potential for a lot of additional reefs in close proximity to each other, to be very, very high.
Right, and just one from me. The company's achieved, some significant milestones for the first half of 2024. What can we expect for the remainder of the year, and what does the news flow kind of look like?
Yeah, thank you. Good question. So what we've achieved so far has been, a couple of large discoveries from a first pass reconnaissance drill program. Doesn't happen very often, but it has happened here. So like I said, we've now going back in. This was a desktop study. We'd never even been to site when we planned the holes. It was all done via the desktop. But now we're going in with 10,000 meters of RC drilling knowledge and 8 months on the field, mapping, new data, and new IP. And we're going to be doing targeted precision drilling here. So what shareholders can expect is, high impact drilling program, aggressive drilling, us to be really focused on not only expanding and developing our existing discoveries, but continuing to invest in new discovery drilling, because we foresee a huge amount of upside and potential here for new discoveries, given what we've seen so far. So lots and lots of drilling, and hopefully, building on and making new discoveries.
Yeah, that's great. And just adding to that, and just about the project, can you just remind us a little bit more about, the native title, the Tier 1 mining tenure, is the West Musgrave a place where, is it going to be the next mining centre for Australia, basically?
Yeah, no, great question.
Glenn. They're Glenn's, yep.
So yeah, the West Musgrave is a Tier 1. I mean, West Australia itself is a Tier 1 mining jurisdiction, right? But every individual province has its own pros and cons. What West Musgrave has shown is that it is Tier 1 A grade mining jurisdiction. The reason for that being is it's the same native title group who are allowing the Nebo Babel mine to go ahead, who are very supportive of mining development. There's a mining framework agreement already in place for Nebo Babel. And we've shown, the Nunandara people have shown to be very commercial, very proactive in wanting mining developments to be undertaken. And we have the same native title group, our project's on the same native title land as the group which has the Nebo Babel mine. So it's a mining friendly jurisdiction, and there's only one native title group to work with, and they're very mining friendly. So we see that as a massive tick, because in various new provinces where there's been no mining framework agreement negotiated and there's no basis, you have to start from scratch. So we don't have that case here. We've already, shown that we've got a proven pathway to mining in terms of regulatory approvals and also native title support.
Yeah. And is it your opinion that BHP, the reason why BHP just have paused the development of West Musgrave, is it because of the nickel price? Because
100%. It's
Nebo Babel is copper nickel. Yeah.
It's copper nickel, but it is a nickel dominant deposit, right? So the nickel, the decision to shut or mothball, temporarily suspend operations at the West Musgrave development for BHP is 100% due to the nickel price. So, obviously Indonesian supply has knocked the nickel price. It's not going to last forever. It's temporary, but that is the reason why the Nickel West decision was made, and also the West Musgrave is purely a nickel decision. We're fortunate on our project that it appears is definitely copper dominant and precious metals. So there is it's not a nickel project. So we're not under the same kind of risk to nickel market as we see with Nebo Babel.
I don't think there's any other questions that have come through. That's it. I think we can wrap this up. Thank you everyone for attending today. This presentation has been recorded, so if you want to rewatch it, we'll get that out to the market straight after this.
All right, thanks so much, Evie, and thanks everyone for making the time to come along to the webinar. Appreciate your attendance and questions.
Thanks, guys. Bye.